Mark Skaar on the Skaar Kaard, 103.7 The Fox. It's my extreme pleasure to welcome in the voice of Rival Sons, Jay Buchanan. Jay, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for asking. Things are great out here. I'm in California and taking some time off from the holidays and getting ready to put out some new music.
Jay, first of all, how's your wife doing?
She's doing all right, man. I mean, breast cancer is a vicious cycle to have to go through, and, she's taking it like a champ, that's for sure. But she's definitely going through it, and anybody out there listening that might be going through this right now or just recovered from it, or maybe getting ready to. It's really scary because it's a bunch of new normal, but I'm really fortunate to be able to take time off and just be here with her instead of out on the road,
I will pray for her.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And for you as well. Weapons of Beauty, the first solo album from Jay Buchanan, comes out on Sacred Tongue Records via 30 Tigers. I've had a chance to listen to it probably a half dozen times. What a beautiful record, Jay. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mark. I worked on it for, a couple of the songs I've had over the last couple of years, but the bulk of the album was written out in the middle of the Mojave Desert from January to April of 2025. I slept in a tiny windowless bunker and lived off of a gas-powered generator, and I just sequestered myself out and wrote the bulk of the record.
Yeah, and you wound up working, of course, with your friend Dave Cobb, who's done all the Rival Son stuff and other stuff for you, too, and I know he's been pestering you to do this for a long time.
He definitely has. Dave Cobb, I've got a big debt of gratitude for Dave because he's really worked to champion me as much as possible over the years. He's been a huge advocate for me artistically and professionally, and he's the one who got me in this Bruce Springsteen movie that came out this year, Deliver Me From Nowhere. And I think that knowing that I was going to be in a major motion picture was really looking at it going like, well, that's a nice shot in the arm, and it's something new. If I can do that, why am I putting off recording or writing this solo record? Because I put it off for many, many years. I'll get to it tomorrow, or maybe this year. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it this year. And then time just goes by, and I do nothing. So I finally got around to it.
Talk about the vulnerabilities that you had to put yourself in to go out in the middle of nowhere and be ensconced in a place like that and knowing, I really need to do this and I need to come out at some point.
I think needing to sequester myself somewhere far away from home, and I mean far away from everything, it was really an attempt to isolate myself so that I could find that voice that I had buried, years ago. I've been a rock and roller for the last 17 years, and I say that now. I'm still a rock and roller, and I will be. But I needed to uncover this voice, this solo singer-songwriter voice. It's always been there, but collaborating and writing Rival Sons songs and touring Rival Sons and doing, living that lifestyle, it's all-encompassing, right? Like my role in the band, I'm always at work. I'm at work every day. And, I'm working on some facet of what the band has done or will be doing. And so to shift gears and really try to find that solo voice, it took me a while. And it took me a lot of fruitless weeks out in the desert of trying to write and writing a little bit and then coming back home after 7-8 days or so. Coming back home just with having caught no fish at all. And it took a lot of patience for me, and it was just really a matter of staying at it and not letting myself get too discouraged when the right music didn't come to me,
Talking with Jay Buchanan about Weapons of Beauty. Tell me about the guys that played on this record with you, Jay.
Well, these guys, my buddies that played on this record, I handpicked each one of these people, and they're all good friends of mine that I've played with over the years, and they're definitely cream of the crop. Certainly what I would consider best in the business, and many, many other people would too. They're all pretty much centered in or around Nashville, Tennessee. On drums, I have Chris Powell, And then I have Leroy Powell, Chris's brother, on the pedal steel. Both of these guys, we've been playing together since we were young teenagers. And so it's very, very family. It's definitely a family affair. It's a family affair all around, but these guys are part of my origin story. So we cut our teeth on the very same bones growing up. Young musicians, we learned to tour together, make records together, all of that. And Chris has gone on drums. He's gone on to play and tour with Jamie Johnson, Brandy Carlisle. I mean, the list goes on and on. Same thing for Leroy Powell on pedal steel. He plays pedal steel on this record, but he is a virtuoso guitar player who's played with, I mean, literally everyone. And, you know, he's toured with everybody, Jamie Johnson, Travis Tritt, you know, Shooter Jennings, all of these different people. It's a really impressive resume. So that's those guys. And then on actual guitar, I got my buddy, the great J.D. Simo. He's one of the best, I would say one of the best guitar players in the world. And not because he's a hot shot, not because he can play fast. I mean, just understands guitar, and he plays instinctually. And he's a joy to play with. And then also on some guitars, acoustic guitars, I had Dave Cobb playing because Dave's always got a guitar in his hand. On bass, we have Brian Allen, he's toured with everybody from Jonathan Davis to everybody. But he's one of my favorite bass players out there. And then on keys, we have Philip Towns, who I found Phil through Dave Cobb and also through my buddy Anderson East. Phil has collaborated and played with Anderson for years, and he puts out his own music as well, but he's just so natural. We recorded the entire record in 5 days. So for all of the work that I put into it, to jump into the studio down in Savannah, Georgia, and for it to just go by lightning quick, definitely made my head spin. It felt too short, and only too short because I wasn't done having fun. It was a really great environment, and it was nice to be staying there at the studio on the water in Savannah with some of my favorite people. And but next thing you know, 5 days later, all the work's done. It's time to pack it up, and everybody flies off to their various destinations.
Amazing. We're with Jay Buchanan talking about Weapons of Beauty. I know, Jay, we don't have time to go through all the songs. We'll just go through a few of my favorites. So the first song, Caroline, hook-laden opener, deep lyrical content, and I can't get it out of my head.
That was one I wrote with a friend of mine, Blair Daly. And I remember Blair and I, you know, he's a career Nashville writer. When I would get together with different friends of mine to write songs, it was really always just academic. It was always just write to write, not with, you know, a lot of writers in Nashville, or, and, you know, any songwriters out there listening, it's a job. For me, I never made it a job. And so I'd come over and visit with Blair. Like, I don't know, let's maybe do something like this or something like that. But this time specifically, I came to him and I said, I want to write a ballad about an unquenchable grief. I want to write one of those really sad, like George Jones style songs, you know, or Gordon Lightfoot. And he looked at me like, "You want to do what?" Well, okay, let's go, man. And writing that, Blair was really patient with me because I knew I wanted it to be a certain way. It's about, you know, I've seen these people throughout my life that they go through something and they can't let go of it, and so they walk around living in the past, living with a memory, and they're so traumatized. You know, in this case, the protagonist loses his number one person. He loses his wife, and he cannot move on. He doesn't want to move on. He's like, that's just it. And I've seen these people, you know, you go into the bar in the middle of the day, and you see, you come in from the brightness, and then it's dark in there, you see somebody who just looks like they live there. And they don't talk a lot, and they look like they're just part of that bar. And you just think, what would move a person to such grief or such sadness to put them in that place? And I just wanted to write a song about that person. And when people can't let go of the past, they're not in the present. When they live that way, they can't see themselves in a future either. It's just like still life, I suppose. But I love that song. There's something about sad songs like that that give me permission to really feel something when music will do that to you, and it'll poke you in a soft spot that you're not really ready to admit that you have. Sometimes when I hear these songs like If the Drinking Don't Kill Me or these different sad country songs, it allows you to live in that grief just for a moment, and then the song's over, and then you're able to move on, and you can interface with these feelings that you don't let yourself get into on the daily. So it's a valuable exchange for me.
Talking with Jay Buchanan, let's jump to Tumbleweed, cinematic, Western vibes, peaks and valleys with a crescendo vocal.
I think that song right there, parts of me, my blood is ultimately in each song that I write somehow, however much autobiographical it's going to be. This song right here, it's really, we have in the United States right now, I think whether you're on the right or the left, I think we can all agree that we've got an economical crisis going on. We have people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and then when that paycheck doesn't come, they're out on the street. This homeless crisis that we have, it's not all just drug addicts, and it's not all people with mental health issues. Of course, that makes up a large part of that population, but it's people who are disenfranchised and squeezed out of the middle class. You know, when the middle class gets squeezed, it trickles down, and they don't just disappear. You know, these are our brothers and sisters and our countrymen. And when I look at that, I named the song Tumbleweeds, and I wrote that in the chorus because it's, you know, tumbleweeds classically, it's not just the usual Western trope, but tumbleweeds are at the mercy of the wind, and they don't have any control. They don't stop until they hit a fence or, you know, an immovable object like that. And then once the wind shifts, and tumbleweeds go back the other way, and they're at the mercy of their circumstance. And I see so many people like that. I wanted to write a story of a young couple, you know, with little kids living out of their car on their journey to either, victory or perdition.
Shower of Roses imparting wisdom with reflection. When the crowds have all gone, lights go out on the stage, when the curtain comes down, you just want them to say that you never took more than you gave.
Shower of Roses was one I wrote with my buddy Charlie Peacock. He's just a great musician and a really good hang. And again, that's one of those friends I get together with, like, hey, well, let's get together and write something. That was really one about, I wanted to write an anthem about the process of living for that journey. When, for people listening, career musicians or career artists, it's a commitment that you make that doesn't always provide returns that even allows you to have anywhere near a reasonably adequate income. You don't live a secure lifestyle when you link yourself to the arts, for the most part, because you're living and edifying yourself and your family off of your mind's eye and your imagination. And it's not a dependable source. So it takes a love of the game. It takes a real love of the game. And I think that sticking through it and sticking by it, that there is a mileage that you get there. And sometimes you got to be selfish. And then sometimes you have to be selfless. And I think Shower of Roses was really about giving yourself permission to choose that lifestyle and to truly surrender yourself to it, you know.
And then I wanted to talk about Sway. Sparse beauty, soaring vocal, really tugs at the heartstrings. It's like a lullaby, and it's just another one of those songs where you have to really pay attention to it and feel it. And like all these songs and throughout your catalog, Jay, just you have to pay attention because your vocal demands it.
Well, thank you. Sway is another slow waltz. I've got a lot of those on this record. I think I write a lot of waltzes in general. Certainly for Rival Sons, I've written many waltzes, from Jordan to Where I've Been to All That I Want. There are a lot of waltzes in me. I feel like it's like my favorite vehicle for storytelling. This song in particular, Sway, was one that I wanted to employ patience. I wanted to employ great space and pauses. I wanted to demand patience of the listener, because love is patient. And I wanted to write about the sort of love as a noun instead of an action. It's easier to fall in love, and it's easier to say, oh, I love them, I love that, I love this. But it's different when it graduates into being a noun. Love like a thing. This love I have for you. When it becomes something like a house, it's different that way. And I wanted to write from that perspective. Something that is bedrock and unchanging. It's so deep that it's a taproot to your daily operations even. I wrote that not about, but I wrote it for my wife.
But listening to the music, and I'm thinking about how much I love the Feral Roots record, and I'm thinking about performances like Too Bad, where you're just wringing your soul out, and you're just, again, you have to pay attention to it. And I don't know how you do it, but it comes from somewhere.
Where I don't know where it comes from. I love music so much. I mean, I really, truly, truly do. Ever since I was a little kid, it's like, it's free magic, and it's like a special sacred language. And I have devoted my entire life to the art, but such a mystery to me. How exactly it works and how to conjure this stuff, I still don't understand. Every time I sit down to write a song, to really get into the deep water and to catch the big fish, man, I don't know how to do. There's no rain dance, to make it come. It's sitting there, and its way of coming into being is still so mysterious to me. And I suppose that's part of what keeps and has kept this relationship so passionate for me. So if it were something that were at my command, well, that gets old, and I'm still at its mercy.
I hope it's gratifying that you realize that you connect with people.
That when I realize that, when I interface with people, when they let me know what the music is, what it means to them and in their lives, it's very gratifying, because it shows that I'm connecting. So much of this, you can feel like you're just sending a signal out, and you don't know that it's really getting anywhere. You just know that you have to do it. You have to send this transmission out into the void. And when you get a sonar, when you get that echolocation and you get a signal back, it helps put gas in your tank, and it gives you water for your horse to get you to the next mission. Knowing that you're getting through and that your transmission is being received is everything, because it gives you the will to go on, And I think that artists, they're prone to things like depression, because they can feel that what they're doing is just a useless pursuit, Yet they're moved to do it. And I think that knowing you're reaching people, that can sometimes be the difference. That validation, it can really move you, and it can help you in a huge, huge way.
And with that, Jay, I just want to say thank you for your gift, and congratulations on Weapons of Beauty, the debut from Rival Sons vocalist Jay Buchanan, out on Sacred Tongue Records via 30 Tigers. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Mark. And a big shout-out and some gratitude to terrestrial radio. I think that people forget what a huge thread in the national fabric terrestrial radio really is. And terrestrial radio has always been, for the lonely, sometimes that voice in the next room that stays on constantly so that they feel less alone. And going back far enough, it would let people know the price of feed, where the jobs are, the news, everything. And I know that with all of the information that we have out there and all of our technologies that are rapidly evolving, terrestrial radio has helped us a hell of a lot along the way.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. For Jay Buchanan, I'm Mark Skaar. This is a Skaar Kaard, the new classic rock that rocks on 103.7 The Fox.